Yeah, you're on Pure 24/7 radio. It's Dan here on the Pure Brunch, and time once again for our brunch blether. And I am very pleased to welcome comedian, writer, preacher, occasionally known as a promedian. We'll delve into all of that as we chat and welcome Andy Kind. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Dan.
How are you doing this today?
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine. Thank you. The weather is trying to make up its mind how it feels, and so am I.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of putting it. Well, there's plenty to for us to be talking about to catch up on this thing. But as we go through all the things that are available for people to tap into, just give us a quick kind of pencil sketch of who Andy Kind is.
Well, you said it very well. I'm a comedian, been a comedian, professional comedian for 20 years, split my time between the comedy circuit and doing gigs for churches. I've written 7 books, the seventh of which has just been released, which is something we'll talk about. Yeah, I preach and I go on long walks.
Yeah, so I read that 2005, 20 years of comedy. That doesn't seem, you seem much too young for that, Andy. So 20
Well,
years.
it it doesn't seem realistic. I honestly don't know how that's happened. It seems like a few weeks ago that I'd only been going for 15 years, but I think the pandemic created a concertina aspect to time, didn't
Yeah.
it? Where everything seemed much further away and much closer at the
Absolutely. So
same
how did
time.
that all start?
How did what start?
The
Sorry.
comedy, sorry.
Oh, I don't remember. It was so long ago. I think I just wanted to do it. I
Yeah.
think I came out of university, didn't have any emotional connection to other jobs, and thought, well, I'll give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll have to get another job. But fortunately, with varying degrees of success, it has worked out.
Yeah, and I mentioned this word promedian, which is a word you've invented,
Yeah.
but it kind of sums up what you've sort of morphed into over the years, doesn't it?
It's just better than being called a Christian comedian,
Mhm.
which is something I've never described myself as. So promedian, it's just a compound noun, just preacher and comedian. Sometimes I only preach, sometimes I only do comedy, sometimes I do both. But it's yeah, just a bit of a brand exercise. I don't really, if someone says, "What do you do?" I never say promedian. I say comedian or writer,
Mm.
depending on what I'm focusing on. I tend not to say I'm a preacher, but that is what I do. Primarily, though, I am a comedian, and everything that I do stems from that.
Yeah, so you are a Christian who's a comedian rather than
Mm.
a Christian comedian. So
Yeah.
how would you sort of define the difference between that?
Well, I don't do Christian jokes. It's as simple as that. A Christian comedian is somebody who performs for Christians and does content that is exclusively Christian. That's not my background at all. My faith infuses everything that I do, but my job is comedian. There's no Christian hairdresser. You wouldn't describe someone as a Christian hairdresser. And it's a battle that I've fought and lost over the last 20 years. I've never managed to avoid being called Christian comedian. But I'm just a comedian. That's my job. I started on the comedy circuit. That's where I feel most happy.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think there's a lot of, I think evangelistically. And so when you're putting on a gig at your church, if you invite people to come and see a Christian comedian, what they imagine that will be is not what I am.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, that's why I'm slightly annoyed about the tag of Christian comedian and comedian again probably doesn't work much better, but it's a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. So your kind of ideal, I guess, is that you'll visit a church for a weekend. You might do a comedy gig on the Saturday, maybe to a specific group of people or whatever. And then you can turn up in a different guise on the Sunday, and share the
Absolutely,
gospel with them. Yeah.
absolutely, 100%. That's what I love doing. Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, same person, two different hats.
Yeah. Which is amazing. And within that, I mean, you've had various different themes of show that you've taken around the country. You're currently launching your, as it says here, a real proper bona fide comedy show that also has a gospel message,
Yeah.
called Leaving 99. Tell us about that, Andy.
Yeah, so it's just a new show really, and it's based on the fact that I'm getting older, and based on the idea of nostalgia that we sometimes hang on to stuff memories and things, which can be helpful, but sometimes also can't be helpful. And you get to a point, I've had several points in my life where I've realized I've had to let go of memories, let go of nostalgic comfort as I've gone through different stages of life. So it's about that. It's about coming to terms with the fact that you're not a young boy anymore. You're not even a young man anymore. I'm 44 years old, and comparing, I suppose, those two stages of my life. But also, there's a little play on words there. Leaving 99 in Luke 15, Jesus leaves the 99 to go after the one. So there's a twofold thing going on there, and it launches in October, and I'm taking bookings for that now. So hopefully it'll be a good one, but at the very least, it's something new for me to do, because I think I do get bored eventually with the same material. So.
Yeah, and so speaking of material, as well as standing up on stage and speaking these words, you've put some of these words down on paper as well, or laptop, or however you choose to write. And you have an exciting new book coming out, which you teased earlier on. So this is available for pre-release now, and is available from the 1st of July. It's called The Wayfarer. Andy, tell us all we need to know about The Wayfarer.
Yeah, so it is available to buy now, although people will get it in July, but it's cheaper to pre-order than it will be to order after the fact.
Why I ordered mine now while it's cheaper. Yes.
Yeah, very, very good. So The Wayfarer is about journeys. It's about a physical journey along the Pennine Way from Edale to Kirkyetum in Scotland, which is the sort of the mother of UK national trails, and has been since the sort of 50s and 60s really. And I did it towards the end of the pandemic because I really needed to lubricate myself on fresh air again, having developed cabin fever during the pandemic, as lots of us did. I needed just to shake off some of those, some of those niggles, emotional niggles, mental niggles that sort of attach themselves to all of us. So it's about that, part travel writing, part memoir. But there's also, and this becomes clear throughout the book as the book goes on, there's another type of journey that's going on there that's partly emotional, partly spiritual, partly practical. So it's about two journeys, but it's the funniest book I've ever written, I think, by some distance. It's the best written book I've ever written by some distance. So I'm hopeful that it'll do very well. Certainly, I think when you're writing, you can only really write what you want to write and do that in the best way possible. You can't write to other people's needs. And I've always struggled to write for the market. In an ideal world, you write from the heart for the market. But I get bored if I'm not writing exactly what it is I want to write. So The Wayfarer, whatever anyone else thinks about it, will be and is the book that I was happy to write and delighted to write, in fact.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we can all understand that whole cabin fever thing after the pandemic. Not all of us went and did a 260 plus mile walk, which was either from extreme cabin fever or you just started walking and didn't stop. What
No,
made you go for
I
it?
didn't just start walking and not stop. It was planned.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, I think, prove to myself that I had developed some of the qualities that I hoped I had, such as endurance. I've never been someone who's traditionally stuck at things. I've been Mr. Path of Least Resistance. So I just wanted to take the path of most resistance and the road less traveled and have a jolly good adventure along the way, which is exactly what happened. So that was really good. And the only thing harder than walking the Pennine Way was writing a book about walking the Pennine Way. That's the hardest thing I've ever done.
And was it the intention to write a book out of this? Or...
Yes, always. Yeah, always. And has been really since if you'd asked me when I was 23 what I wanted to write a book about, it would have been about that.
Yeah, and so it takes us through pain and redemption. So that's not just about pain of the walk. That's his whole life journey and turnaround that and this walk has just brought back to your mind.
Yeah, it takes us through the pain towards redemption. Whether redemption happens at the end is up to the reader to find out, and I think to a degree up to the reader to decide. But certainly there's a lot of pain and a lot of humor. So humor and pathos obviously are great bedfellows, and they work in tandem throughout this book with all the crazy characters I meet, with all the places I go to. Um, and there's lots of books you can read about walking and travel writing, but I've tried to put my own stamp on it,
Mm.
because again, you can only be who you are. You can't write somebody else's book, um, and you can't inhabit somebody else's mind. You just have to write from a place of authenticity, I think.
Yeah. So this is an element of biographical writing.
It's
With
autobiographical. Yeah, it's
yeah,
completely autobiographical. It's a
yeah,
first person memoir. Yeah.
yeah, brilliant. And just recounting some of the many adventures you had along that walk.
Yes, and yeah, and then using that as a springboard to reflect on um, other aspects of being a human being in the 21st century. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which is great, and I mean this whole writing, and I know, I mean we are now 2 years, and again COVID must have just messed with our minds on timing because 2 years since you turned into a children's author as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
With the Curious Tales of Redemption, which is still going strong. So tell us how that one came about and what that one's.
Well, I think one thing the pandemic did do was give my mind chance to be left fallow for
Hmm.
a while. And as a result of that, the sort of the soil of my creativity started to germinate quite nicely. And I wrote 3 or 4 books before the pandemic. I've now released 4 since the pandemic. Um, and the first 3 were quite short: Hidden in Plain Sight, Curious Tales of Redemption, and Blanket of Embers, all quite short.
Hmm.
The Wayfarer is longer than all of them put together. But yes, it's sort of the second generation of my writing career, I suppose. Um, and it's a very different type of writing, very different person,
Hmm.
certainly to who I was when I released my first book. Um, and yeah, I wanted to write a children's book, but it was more that I had some stories that I was telling my own children
Hmm.
that I thought they would be quite nice to write down. I like to tick off different tasks, really. So a children's book, an apologetics book, a book of short stories, a travel memoir, a novel. So a play is probably next. I'll probably try and do
Hmm.
a play next.
Sounds interesting. We look forward to that one. Heard it here first. Well, you probably mentioned it elsewhere, but that was good. But yeah, certainly Curious Tales of Redemption with my daughter. Listeners know Isla because she features on the show regularly, and we enjoyed reading that one very much. So good to attract another audience who can then pick up on some of your other work later in life, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much there is a knock-on effect when someone buys one of your books and then they go back and buy others. I'm not sure how much, for me, that
Mm,
actually happens, because again, I don't. The last 4 books have all been very different, so there's
yeah.
no continuity. The only continuity is they're written by me. But I think it's about legacy as much as anything. Writing, unless you're super famous, writing doesn't make a lot of money. It can provide a nice second income,
Mm,
but you do it, I do it for legacy. So I've got something that I can say, I achieved this with those last 2 years. I have this book in my hand that is the grand total, the sum total of that. So that's quite one of the nice things about being freelance and being self-employed. Although you can feel a bit jittery at times financially, you don't look back on your career and think it was just all the same all
mm.
the time.
Yeah, absolutely get that as a freelancer myself doing multiple things. Yeah, absolutely get that juggle between the always there going to be enough money coming in and oh, I'm actually really enjoying what I'm doing just now. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it's a good battle. So listen, we've talked about this stand-up comedy stuff, the writing, the preaching. You took the preaching a little bit further. Now I had the pleasure of being on your pilot version of this.
You
This
did. That's right.
preach like an artist.
Yeah.
Now the next one's coming up soon, and I should have asked you this before we came on, but have you still got spaces available on this one?
Yeah, there's always spaces. I can't
Yeah.
remember what the dates are now, but I'm easily found online. And yeah, it's just a little Zoom course
Mm,
where I try and help preachers of every level, of any level, to add to the good stuff that they're already doing. So it's not a theological course. It's about incorporating story and understanding the dynamics and the psychology of an audience, the psyche of an audience,
Yeah.
and just trying to help people connect and with their audience a bit better, to rivet and delight, not just to test and prove.
Yeah, so it's a 3-week course, isn't it? So we've got courses coming up on the 14th, 21st, and 28th of July.
Oh, great.
I've
Well
got it on
done.
bits of paper here.
Well done, Dan.
And at the beginning of September, so it's Monday evenings on Zoom, and people have said, like no other training out there, brought a new zest to my preaching. So for those who are involved in preaching, or either full time or just dabbling in it, this is just a new way of. It's not about a performance thing, is it? It's just about making the preaching perhaps land a bit better with
Yeah,
congregation.
it's exactly that. Yeah, it's yes, it's not about saying we all need to be comedians, and it's not about saying we all need to be sort of circus performers, but it's about acknowledging that there is a much bigger visual aspect of preaching than people want to realize, and that it used to be the case that Christianity was the sovereign voice in society. That's not the case now. We're in a marketplace of ideas, and at the moment we're losing because other people are telling their less good stories better than we're telling our beautiful one. And so anything we can do to help is helpful.
Yeah, which is absolutely brilliant, and I guess just keeps you busy, or hopefully keeps you busy with all these different things. So you've got this tour. Then let's do a quick recap here on everything. We've got the leaving 99, which is available for the back end of the year, and people can get you to do that on a Saturday and hang on to you to preach to them on a Sunday.
Yeah, I'll do it any night of the week. I also am doing midweek gigs of that show for travel expenses, just because that's what I felt led to. So people have to pay properly at the weekend, but I will do midweek gigs of that show for just travel expenses. Yeah.
Fantastic. And of course, promoting the book. Where can people find out about the book? Where can they purchase that?
Oh, well, the best place to do that is St Andrew's Bookshop.
Yep.
So if you Google St Andrew's Bookshop, there's a link there, The Wayfarer, and it's currently discounted for pre-order purposes. So if people go on and pre-order now, today, over the next few days, they'll get a good deal on that. And I'd like people to do that, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll put the links that will be on our socials later on today so people can find that. If they just want to find out more about Andy Kind, how they can book you, get involved with the Preach Like an Artist or anything else, what's the best way for them to track you down?
Well, my website is andykind.co.uk. I've got my comedy special they can watch on YouTube. So I'm on YouTube to a degree. I'm very contactable and easily accessible on all the social medias. So, yeah, there's lots of ways to find me. I wouldn't be able to go dark, so to speak. I wouldn't be able to go off the grid these days.
Yeah.
And that would be pointless anyway. But yes, lots of things that I'm doing, keeping myself busy, and always happy to have people along for the journey.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's been good being alongside you a little bit from a distance anyway on that journey. So
I appreciate your support.
Not a problem. Always happy to do that because it's great stuff that's out there. So yeah, andykind.co.uk. Listeners, go and find his book, The Wayfarer, because it promises. I mean, I've not seen it yet. I've ordered my copy, but I have to wait until the 1st of July for that to come out. But I know it's going to be a good one. So we look forward to that. And I guess amongst everything else, our listeners, Andy, are praying people. So how can they be supporting you in that way?
I want The Wayfarer to do really, really well. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some wonderful messages in there, and we all encountered many different things after the pandemic. So, whilst, as we said, this was quite an extreme walk, I struggled to get down the garden path, and you did 60 odd miles, so which was pretty impressive. But we look forward to that. So, Andy, thank you so much as always, and this will be available for people to see, and hopefully they will link up with you, and we'll see you cropping up at some of our listeners' churches in the coming months and years.
Brilliant.
So, Andy, thanks for being there. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
The June issue of Pure Media, the magazine, comes out on Friday the 7th of June, with a whole host of international writers speaking on life, faith, sports, technology, joy and more, from our family to yours. In the June edition, we shine the spotlight on Sherry Seligson, a marine biologist from Florida, and Chris Kerr, who helps us focus and celebrate on dads. Sign up today and enjoy all of this and more at www.puremediathemagazine.com.